Hello, thank you for checking out Mr. Ware's videos, and today we are looking at reflections in a coordinated plane. So here we're going to talk about a lot of different reflections here. Here's three of the main ones. When you reflect across the x-axis, the y-axis, or y equals x, which is this diagonal line. Okay. When you do so, you have these rules where you have you're going to change the points from X and Y. It changed the Y to the opposite for X-axis, going across the X-axis. Here, we're going to change the X to the opposite when you go across the Y-axis. And here, we're going to change um, the coordinates around. We're just going to swap them. We're going to make X be Y and Y be X. So, again, I'm going to go over these here. Here is the X-axis, which is right here. And we're going to reflect it across that line. Here's the y-axis. Notice how it's reflected this way. And here is the y equals x, this diagonal line. Notice how it's reflected diagonally. Okay, so you can change the coordinate points and find the new points to go from your pre-image to your image, and do it that way. And I'm going to show you another way so you can find a reflection as well. So let's take a look. Okay, here's some more notes to look at. Here's one that's already done. Notice how you have the FGH without the little marks there. This is your pre-image. Okay, that's your pre-image. Okay, here is the image being reflected, and I know that because it has these little marks right here. Okay, so this is your image and this is your pre-image. Okay, one way I do to try to remember it is you got these little marks. Think of them like I for image, and then the other one is your pre-image. Okay, so what they did is they took these points, and on this one they reflected over the x-axis. So they used this right here, x minus y. Okay, so they took the x or the y and just made it negative. 4 became negative, 4 is negative, and 1 is now negative. And now they just plotted the points. Another way to do that is to count the distance from h to the x-axis here, and then it's 1, so I go 1 to make my new point. From g to the x-axis is 1, 2, 3, 4, so I go 4 to make my new point. Same thing with the F. It's 4 here, and then go 4 more to go across the x-axis. All right, let's take a look at some examples. Okay, here it says reflect the figure with the given vertices across the line. All right, so originally they didn't put the points in. I went ahead and put the points in for the pre-image, and we're just going to reflect them one at a time. Alright, here's some notes. I've gave these away in a previous video, but they're the same as what I just showed you a minute ago, where you reflect across the x-axis, y-axis, and across the line y equals x. Alright, so since it says the y-axis, that means we're going to reflect across this line here. Alright, and here are the new points. I got these points by changing the x to negative. Now, if the x was already negative, you're going to make it positive. So you're going to make it opposite of whatever it is. And what you can do is just plot these points, and that'll get you the shape as well. So you just plot these points, go over -2, up 4, go over 4, up 2, go over 3, down 2. Okay? Another way to do it is just to count each one. So I'm going to count 2 toward the y-axis, and then count another 2 for my first point. Here for the end, I'm going to count over 4, and then another 4 for the end, And in the P, count over 3, and then count over another 3 for the P. And that gets me my new short shape, or our rigid motion here, showing that it's reflected over the y-axis. Alright, just make sure you got enough time to get this down. Alright, let's take a look at another example. Okay, here we want to reflect over the x-axis. And here are your points. And here's your new points for the image. -4, -1, -3, -4, -2, -3, and 0, -1. Okay, so we get that by changing the y. So you see over here in the instructions it says change the y to the opposite of what it is. Again, if it was already negative, we will make it positive. Alright, so now we're going to plot out each point. Here's T. It's 1 away, so 1 down. Here's U. I didn't write the U yet, but I go down 4 and then down 4. So this we call U prime. Here's the V. Go down 3 and then count another 3. And again, you could just plot the points once you do this, but this is another way to do it. And then here's the W. Down 1, down 1. And then you just connect the dots, and you have your image, going from your pre-image to your image. All right, let's take a look at another example. Okay, so this one they want us to reflect again over the x-axis. Okay, so we got our points. One of these is in this the negative side here, but that's going to be okay. So here's our new points. And since we're looking for the x-axis, we change the y to the opposite. Now notice how on Q it was already a -1, so I made it positive. You just change it to the opposite of whatever it is. And then the 4 I made negative, and the 1 I made negative. Everything else stayed the same. So then you can just plot these points and you can get your answer. Or you can still count from the x-axis. So here is 1 to the x-axis, so I count 1 away from it, and I get Q prime. On R, I counted down 4 to the x-axis, so I counted 4 away from it for R prime. And for S, 1 away, 1 to the x-axis, and then 1 away for S prime. And then I connect my dots, and now I have my image. Okay, so let's take a look at our last example. Okay, so this one is y is equal to x. So we're going to go across the line y equals x, which is a diagonal that goes this way. And I'm going to put that up there in a second. But in order to do that, you're just going to swap the points. Okay? So I get 4, -2, 1, 1, -1, and -5. How do I get those? Well, I swap. I made the 4 go, the 4 which is y, now it's x. The -2 is now y. Here they're both 1. So it really doesn't matter there, but it's 1 and 1. And in here, you're going to have -1 to -5 and -5 to -1. Or I should say -1 is going to become the x and -5 is going to become the y. Okay? And then I just put those there once I swap them. And again, you can just plot these points and you'll get the answer. Also, you can still count from that diagonal line. So here's the diagonal line, but you got to count sideways. Okay? So I'm going to show you that. So here for A prime, I've counted 3, 1, 2, 3 for the distance to the diagonal here. And then I'm going to count 3 again. 1, 2, 3 to go away from the diagonal. Okay. Now sometimes it might be half a square. When that happens, just count it as a half and then count that half again and keep counting. It should still be the same distance. So that's going to get us our A prime. B prime is still 1, 1. So there's no distance from the diagonal. So there's nowhere to count from it. Okay. And then C is 2, 1, 2, and then count 2, 1, 2 to get C prime. And then connect the dots, and we have our reflection across the y equal x. And that's it. That is reflections across the x-axis, y-axis, and y equals x. I also got another video showing you other reflections that I previously did. But for now, thank you for checking out Mr. Ware's videos. Have a nice day.